Alrighty, and welcome back to the wonderful new podcast called So How Was Your Day? I'm here with my good friends,
Nathan Garner.
And
Cameron McGill again.
Yep, so in the last episode we got to meet Cameron McGill, and today we went out to go visit my friend
Nathan Garner, at your service.
Yeah, so, and today we'll mostly be focusing on Nathan because we haven't met him yet. But I wanted to start us off just by playing a little game. I call it the categories game. I don't know if anyone else calls it that. But it's a game where we have a category and everyone has to name a thing in that category until somebody either A, messes up, repeats one of the same ones, or has too long of a pause. And we'll say like 2 seconds of pause just to keep the game flowing. But this time, instead of like the person just getting out, what we have here is chocolate that's supposed to be tasting bad, and we're going to pretend like it tastes bad, and that'll be the punishment for losing. And so we're
70% of cocoa.
Yes.
5 individually wrapped bars of fine European chocolate.
It is very fine.
Very fine.
Why are you saying that? Just ASMR. 5 individually wrapped dark chocolate bars.
Yes, we've decided that our friend Nathan here has the best announcer voice, so I'm definitely going to enjoy listening to this podcast.
Just on repeat.
All right, so for the first category, we have fruits. Nathan, would you like to start us off with any fruit?
Dragon fruit.
Bananas.
Hakeem.
What?
Like, Nathan, go.
Pomegranates.
Wait, I'm not a fruit. I'm not a fruit.
That's too long of a pause. Hakeem, eat the chocolate.
No.
I don't know whether we make him eat a piece of chocolate or not.
You know what? We'll just keep going. You said pomegranates?
Yes.
Kiwis.
Banana.
I already said banana. Eat that chocolate.
It's so bitter.
Good quality chocolate actually tastes slightly fruity.
Yeah.
So, chocolate.
Yes. Okay. So next...
Extra fruity things. Chocolate and Hakeem.
Yes, I'm just so fruity. But anyway.
But that's wrong, so I will break off a piece. And another thing about fine chocolate is it has a nice snap.
Yeah, not the best snap, but, I mean, it's still chocolate.
Yeah.
Anyway, so for the next category, it is titles of anime. Like anime titles, because we're all big nerds here.
Okay.
So Cameron, start us off.
Full Metal Alchemist.
My Hero Academia.
Devilman Crybaby.
Parasite.
The Devil's Part-Timer.
Blue Exorcist.
ReZero.
I lose.
You're not gonna beat me and Nathan at this.
I know a lot of animes, I just couldn't come up with
as
it.
many, and I was thinking I was gonna start throwing out really odd ones so that I would never run out.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Oh, that's very bitter. Okay. So for our last category, we have superheroes. Give me a second. Okay, so I'll start us off with superheroes. Deadpool.
Booster Gold.
Green Lantern.
Superman.
Blue Beetle.
Miles Morales.
Flash.
Swamp Thing.
Cyborg.
Cyborg. Oh, shoot. Green Arrow. No, I'm kidding. Okay, so I lost. So we still got a couple more seconds for an opener. So let's go with cartoons. Western cartoons.
Western cartoons.
Nathan, would you like to start us off?
SpongeBob SquarePants.
Danny Phantom.
Scooby-Doo.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Jimmy Neutron.
Fairly Odd Parents.
What's a cartoon? I don't know.
Okay.
Dragon Prince, but it's too late. I'll eat it.
I was gonna say Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends next.
What was I going to say next? I forget.
I grew up watching so many cartoons, but all
Right?
of a sudden I forgot every cartoon that ever existed.
Well, you know what? That's okay.
Courage the Cowardly Dog.
Yeah, that was one of them.
Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, lots of good ones in my childhood.
Robot Chicken.
I was going to say Rick and Morty next. That's what I was going to say.
Robot Chicken is how I knew I stayed up too late.
That's like, tomorrow's gonna suck.
Oh, if mom and dad knew I was up, they would kill me
Oh,
at this,
yeah.
at this hour.
You felt so edgy watching anything past the Adult Swim as your child. Just anything on that, you just felt so edgy. Like, haha, I'm up too late.
See? And that's why I felt so adult when I turned 18, where I was like, oh, I can watch stuff like this and it be normal.
It was normal to begin with, and we were all fooled.
I still don't watch it. But anyway, so Nathan, tell us a little bit about yourself. This is the first time my audience really gets to know you, so.
Okay, well, hello everyone. I am Nathan. I am your friendly neighborhood neurodivergent nerd. And by neurodivergent, I mean my brain is structured kind of differently because I'm actually on the autism spectrum, but that just makes me a little bit more quirky, and I have some very strong interests, like superheroes and anime, so
Exactly.
I was just wired to win these category competitions. So, sorry on behalf of my fellow contestants.
I'm still eating this chocolate, by the way.
Yeah, it wasn't a good punishment.
We were at a coffee shop, and we had discussed how they do not enjoy bitter things. I actually do, which is a trait often found in psychopaths, but, you know. we won't worry about
suggest
that.
anything.
We won't worry about that. But this actually turned out to not be a punishment at all.
Mm-hmm.
Even for us.
Yeah.
Even for them.
All right, so Nathan, earlier you told me that you were in Japan for a little while.
Yes.
Why exactly were you in Japan?
Well, I live in a small town in the middle of nowhere, but this small town in the middle of nowhere had a company called Komodo Tech,
Mm-hmm.
and hold on.
Yeah, so continue telling us about Komodo Tech.
Oh yeah, so it's a company that hardly anyone in my small town knows anything about it, but it's apparently a big deal in Japan. So, with that being said, there's this conference that takes place. It's called PDWC, the Parliamentary Debate World Conference. And they select 3 students from several different countries to participate in a global debate. Mm-hmm. And most of these students were from places like Paris, London, the capitals of their country, the big cities.
Mm-hmm.
However, given that Komodo Tech was in my small town, they actually chose our town to send a representative. So I was fortunate to have been chosen through a little auditioning process.
Mm-hmm. And how long were you there?
I've actually been there twice, because the first year I was there as a contestant, and the second year they invited me back, actually, to help as like a, they called it an ambassador.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
So I was there 9 days each time, so about 18 days total.
18 days total? Okay, so now you got to tell me, what is the funniest thing you did while you were out of this country?
Oh boy. Well, you see, when you're there with so many different people from so many different walks of life,
Mm-hmm.
you make a lot of new friends. I still speak to several of the people I met there.
Mm-hmm.
And there was this one person from France that I became close with while I was there.
Yeah.
And we would talk, and one time she told me, "You know, Nathan, you're a true Southern gentleman." Now, that being said, she had never met any other Southern gentlemen. So she didn't really have much to compare with, especially since, despite having grown up in the South, I don't really have a strong Southern accent.
Mm-hmm.
You give us a bad name. Area.
And I don't even drink sweet tea, so I'm kind of a disgrace to the Southerner culture.
Mm-hmm. Like your chocolate, you prefer your tea bitter.
Right, precisely. But we became friends, and by the end of the week, this is where the funny part comes in.
Mm-hmm.
We were all giving our goodbyes, and she comes up to me, and she was like, "Would you like to say goodbye the American way or the French way?" And you have to understand here.
Mm-hmm.
At this point in my life, I was 18 years old, but like I said, I'm on the spectrum. the autism spectrum. So I've always been a little bit awkward at making friends and relationships. So at this point in my life, I had never actually been kissed before. And so when she said, say goodbye the French way, my brain jumped to, oh no.
Oh no.
Is she about to French kiss me? And she was a beautiful girl. But that being said, I had only known her for a little over a week, and I didn't know if I was quite ready for this level of affection.
You just need an hour.
But after sitting there staring in space and blushing, eventually she just kisses both my cheeks, so that's what she meant.
Yes. Yes.
And I felt quite stupid, and my friends made fun of me for it for the rest of my life.
Oh, that's great. So, I know you know this, and I know Cameron knows this, and I probably tell literally everyone I ever meet that I spent 2 years in Indonesia. And in 2 years, you can do a lot of funny things.
Oh, yes, I am sure of it.
So, I have long stories, short stories, awkward stories, pleasant stories of stupid and funny things that I did while I was on my mission. The best part is I had the opportunity to, like, learn the language and all this stuff. So, a quicker story is, a quicker story would be when I truly figured out that I had learned the language enough to communicate. I was just standing with a bunch of people, and up to this point, it was mostly like, "What are you saying?" And I would always lean in really close, like, and really pay attention to conversations. And so that was what was going on in this conversation. There was about 3 other people. All of them were Indonesian, and I was the only white guy, or as they say in Indonesia, bule. Yeah, exactly. I was the only bule in the group, and so I was just like listening really close, and they were all joking around, and I was a missionary there. And so, as a missionary, it's my job to go out and preach Jesus Christ, right?
Right.
And so they're talking about missionary work, having a missionary standing there, and
Thank you, sir.
and I remember I can't remember exactly what was said, but it was something about missionary work, and I'm like, wait a second, that's not my job, and everyone just bust up laughing. And I remember at that moment I felt so proud because I got a group of people to laugh at the fact that I was able to understand the context of the situation and reply with a snarky comment.
That's great. That's great.
Fair.
Let me think. What else was the funny things that I did in Indonesia?
Can I say my favorite email I ever got from you?
Yes, please.
Because whenever, you have to understand that when Hakeem would send his weekly email, he's a storyteller at heart. So, there was just one day that we got this email, and it was just titled, "I fought a dragon." With a fidget spinner.
With a fidget spinner.
And it was just this long email describing how him and a companion were walking down the road one day, and there was this huge lizard, fire-breathing dragon that just walked out in front of them. And the companion's like, "We should go around." He's like, "No! I must fight it." And he takes a fidget spinner, which he'd been playing with for the entire day, only had it for like a day, and then just threw it at it, and it only angered it more, to which it hissed and stuck its tongue out and breathed fire at them. And the companion's like, "We should get your fidget spinner back," and he just puts his hand in front of him and says, "No, it's gone."
It's gone.
You told that story horribly incorrectly.
Well, that's how I remember it.
That's how you remember it, yes, but that's not how it went. Let me tell this story.
That's the email I got.
I can read to you the email, or I've read it so many times that I have it memorized. So, how the story went was me and my companion being a Samoan man, a very tall and thick, darker skinned dude.
Samoan like the Girl Scout cookie.
Yeah, Samoan like the Girl Scout cookie. No.
Those are
It didn't taste near as well.
the best Girl Scout cookies by far, by the way.
Mm-hmm. They are the best Girl Scout cookies. But my Samoan companion at the time, he's just the nicest guy. He always had the smile and look on his face. Like, whenever he knows that he's going to do something stupid, he just gives you this look like... But they can't see it, so it's just a wide grin. Anyway, so we were walking along, and we were looking for this one house, right? And we walked and couldn't find it. We were brand new to the area. We were there like a week or so.
Right.
And we come across this lizard on the wall. Realistically, this lizard was about the size of my forearm, like from not tip of hand, but like tip of wrist to tip of elbow. He was freaking long. And I'm like, whoa, what is that? And my companion, he looks at it and he's like, that's called a toke. And I'm like, what is that? And he's like, well, you know, I've only ever seen it in pictures, but I hear if they bite you, they have to surgically remove it because it will never let go. So I'm like, let's not touch it, and or like, let's not mess with it. And he's like, I'm gonna throw a rock at it. And I'm like, no! And he just gives me this grin and picks up the rock. And I'm like, no, don't!
No.
And he chucks the rock at the lizard, and the lizard just flinches because my companion didn't have the best aim. So he just flinches on the wall. He doesn't hiss or anything, just flinches. And I'm like, whoo, it didn't attack us. And I'm like, well, let's go before anything else bad happens. And he's like, no, wait, one more time. And he picks up another rock and gets even closer to it. And at this point, it starts hissing at us, just... and I'm like, well, that was enough. And he's like, no, pick up that rock right there. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to pick up this rock. He's like, do it! And he was technically my trainer while I was there. He's the one, it was like my second week in Indonesia. And so he, he's the one I look up to. He's the one, like, I ask for advice. I'm like, how do I deal with Indonesian people? What is this food? Is this thing going to kill me? Kind of thing.
He pulled an Emperor Palpatine. Do it. Do it.
Do it. Do it. But like, so I was conflicted because here's this man that I'm supposed to be looking up to, and he's telling me to grab this rock for him, in which he's going to use to torture this animal and probably have us go to the emergency room for. And I'm like, fine. And I picked up the rock, and I'm like, I'm not going to give it to you. And he's like, then throw it. And I'm like, no. And he's like, do it. And I'm like, okay. And I threw the rock at the wall, and I missed.
Let the anger flow through you, Hakeem.
Exactly. So I just chucked the rock, and it misses. Sorry, I had to collect my thoughts. So it misses, but it hisses louder at us, and it looks at us, and has like this fire in its eyes. And I'm like, well, we should probably go. And he's like, no, hand me your fidget spinner. And I'm like, why? And so I hand him my fidget spinner, despite me on the inside be like, no, let's not do this. And so he chucks the fidget spinner, and at this point it's like clenched up, right? And I think he actually hit it with the fidget spinner. He actually hit it with the fidget spinner. Fidget spinner falls right beneath the lizard. And I'm like, that's my toy, I need it. And he's like, go get it. And I'm like, no. And he's like, if you want it, you gotta go get it. And and I'm like, fine. And so I like leap forward and like just grab and run back to my companion. And there was only like a 2 feet gap between the wall and us because we're in an alleyway. No bigger than like from Nate to me kind of thing.
We're sitting pretty close to each other, by the way.
Exactly.
Awkwardly close.
Awkwardly close. Yeah, so I was also awkwardly close with this fire-breathing lizard. And so I grabbed my fidget spinner. And he's like, I found another rock. And I'm like, no! And he's like, okay, but this time when I throw it, we gotta run, okay? We just run right back to the house. And I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And he chucks the rock and just screams, run! And we both run in different directions. He runs back to the house because he knows where it is. And I run the opposite direction. And so at this point, I'm panicked, right? The lizard hisses and it's spinning back and forth on the wall looking at us and like, obviously about to jump at us, and he sees me, I see him, and he's like, quick, come back, come to me, come over here. And I'm like, no, you come here. And he's like, no, the house is this way. And I'm like, I don't want to go. And he's like, just do it. Do it. And I'm like, okay. And I brace myself and I start ninja running just as fast as possible, just like as low to the ground as possible. I'm a speeding bullet, and I just hear this hiss go over my head as it leaps at me. I didn't look back to didn't dare to look. But I just remembered, like, going over me, and I swear I felt fire down my neck as I just run right back to the house.
Oh man, this thing, ninja running, this sounds like a Naruto versus Orochimaru fight.
It essentially was.
Pretty much. But anyway, did you have any other stories from your time in Japan?
Well, before we get to that, I want you guys to know there is an epilogue to this story.
Oh, please.
After all of this epic encounter happened, Hakeem comes home from Indonesia, and we all welcome him, and we play a Dungeons and Dragons session
Yes.
where
We're all big nerds, and we all play Dungeons and Dragons.
all huge nerds.
Yes.
And towards the end of this session, we encounter this magical lake that is suspiciously in the shape of a fidget spinner
Yes.
and fight a giant lizard.
Yeah.
So our dungeon master was clearly paying attention to the emails here.
Yes. At least those emails.
At least that email in particular.
That wasn't even my only. Oh, sorry. Did you want to say anything else about Japan before I took the rest of the time?
Let's see. You go ahead with something. If something pops up in my head, I'll jump in.
All right. Sounds good.
The ducks.
No, not the ducks. That wasn't the only encounter with a lizard I ever had. Did you read Did you read my email when I had a shootout with a lizard?
Yes. Yes, I did.
I really enjoyed writing that
Yes, you tell it better.
I can't even remember how I wrote that email or how I really worded it, but what it came down to was I had a blow dart gun, right? And
Which I currently have. Right?
yes, I gave it to you.
I have this relic.
This
Yes.
relic.
But anyway, I decided to have fun with it. They were actual like needles that came with this blow dart gun. It's not the best, but I actually got pretty good at it. I built myself some like fake darts that wouldn't hurt anybody, and I kind of just shot everyone I could see. I also set up targets where I had a bunch of little water bottles, and I'd fill them up a little bit and stack them all over the place. I just stand in one spot, and I just have like 5 in my hand and be like, doo-tsh, 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 and I just hit all of them. I got that good. But anyway, before...
You're so humble.
I know, right? I'm so humble. But anyway, before I actually got that good, I saw this lizard on a wall. And
You thought you should abuse it.
yes. But I saw this lizard, and I'm like, I can totally hit that lizard. I remember how I wrote it was I was facing off against a giant lizard. A lizard's bigger than me, if I remember correctly. And I wrote it as like I was a what was it? Like a cowboy in the middle in the. Yeah, it was like a standoff between me and the lizard, but truthfully,
wow.
it was a little lizard, no bigger than the palm of my hand, and it was on the roof. So
It seems like your arch nemesis are lizards.
yeah, they have so many lizards there, and they always get into your house. So I had fun.
You insulted their family. That's why.
They were coming for revenge for the fidget spinner thing.
Yes. No, but the ones that are no bigger than a palm, they're called chichocks.
Chicha.
Chichocks are harmless. Tokes, the one as big as my forearm, those are not harmless. But anyway, so there was this little chichock on the roof, and I remember I had 3 darts. And I told the story very funnily. I told the story in a funny way, but in reality what happened was my companion walked in the room and he was like, "You can't possibly hit that lizard on the ceiling." I'm like, "Watch me." And then he left because he knew I couldn't hit this lizard. And I shot at it once and missed. Shot at it the second time and I stuck it to the ceiling by the tail.
Oh.
And I'm like, yes! And I'm like, well, I can't possibly just leave it there. So I shot it a third time. Since it couldn't move, I hit right in the eye, right through the brain.
Oh.
You don't like the stories where I killed lizards?
Yeah, it's an innocent lizard.
I thought that was going to go so differently.
I don't blame it for wanting vengeance.
Yeah, its family has the right to dislike you.
So I shouldn't tell the time of where I killed another lizard?
Yeah, let's abstain from that.
I thought when you said I couldn't possibly leave it that way, I thought that meant you were going to remove the dart.
No! Put it out of its misery! It's already gonna die, it's losing blood!
It has a dart in its tail. Lizards can grow those back.
It wasn't.
It's not an instantaneous
It's not like
process.
Wolverine.
I mean, what I meant was it couldn't move. It was stuck, and it was on the ceiling, so it's not like I can get it down.
So instead,
It's not like the ceiling like this.
So-
it was like all the way up, like really, really high. It was just gonna stay there until.
basically what I've pictured here, it's like in a Mortal Kombat fight, and you're fighting Reptile.
Yes.
And the announcer just went, finish it! And you performed a fatality.
Yes.
So what I'm hearing, though, is because this is so high and hard to get to this day, there's a lizard pinned to the ceiling of this room with 2 darts in it.
No, but I was utterly confused when I heard a thud like 3 hours later. As it just fell from the ceiling.
Aww.
Alright, well, I just now remembered a story about Japan that I can tell.
Okay.
Did you kill lizards?
No. No lizards were harmed in this experience of Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so we were going to, if any listeners are better with geography than I am, forgive me if I got this wrong, but I believed we were going to Nagasaki?
That sounds like a real place.
It is a real place, but...
It is a real place.
It is a real place, but we were going skiing, and there's one place in Japan that's where most people go skiing, and I think it was Nagasaki, but I'm not certain, so... Please correct me if I'm wrong, Internet. But anyway, we were on the way there, I saw there was a sign. You know how in the United States, we frequently have signs that show deer, and it's like, beware of deer. They might jump out and commit suicide by car.
Yes.
However, here, they had monkeys, because apparently the issue there is not with deers running in front of you, but it's monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so we got to the skiing place, and here I am, bundled up to survive a winter apocalypse, prepared for the cold. And it's time to go skiing, and so I take my lessons, and I learn how to turn, I learn how to go faster. The only thing that I don't have down pat is how to stop, or how to slow down. And they specifically stated, hey, if you guys do not know how to stop, stay for more lessons. But the thing is, I don't know if any of you have ever been taught to ski before, but learning how to ski is very tedious, because you're going over basically a flat surface, learning the basics. So I was like, I'm sure I'll pick it up as I go. So I go on the ski range, and it's a big mountain. And so I quickly learn, stopping is kind of important. So I kind of wonder, all right, if I can't ski down this mountain, can I roll down it? Because that seems to be the case, because I would ski, 5 seconds, oh no, I'm going too fast, oh, and wipe out. And then, as I'm sitting in the ground, in pain, I would see some little kids, like a 5-year-old, skiing, like, they were born for this. Faster, gracefully, like, they are a superhero, and their power is skiing, because it's graceful, it looks effortless, and here I am, in pain, wiped out. My legs are in a position that I did not think was possible.
In a snowball, Scooby-Doo style.
Yes, and then a man comes by. He's the guy in charge of the event. He's a man named Skip, and Skip is a great man. I'm pretty sure he's basically like the Buddha. If anyone is enlightened, it's this man here. Because he is so chill, so wise, so kind. It's hard to beat him. He comes by, and he's like, do you need help there, friend? And he comes, helps me up. I was like, yes, I don't seem to have this down. And he's like, oh, well, this is my 4th time up. So, and here I am, like 2 feet from the starting point, because I can't make it further. So he tries to teach me how to ski from the top of the mountain
To the bottom of the mountain.
to the bottom of the mountain, and I just kind of have to perfect my rolling ability. But he is so gracious and kind. However, I finally get master skiing. Like, I am the best skier in the entire world for the last 10 feet of the mountain.
You have perfected skiing for 10 feet.
For 10 feet. So basically like 2 seconds. But I
Did you go
have
back
like
up?
bruises because I'm rolling and all that. But for that 2 seconds, I felt like I was the apex on top of the world, master of everything. And you asked if I went back up. No.
It could have been worse, Nathan. You could have had the same problem of not knowing how to stop with, like, driving.
Well,
I miss you, Grandma.
Why? And you thought I was bad for killing a lizard, and you say that.
I'm being facetious.
Okay. Anyway, so
after all that, I'm bruised up, and I'm like, yes, I'm the champion. And then I go to the nearest place where they served pizza, and I was like, okay, I
Victory
deserve the
pizza.
pizza.
Yeah.
Victory pizza, and then I take a nap, and I never ski again. I go to the trip the next year, and I'm like, okay, since I was a master for 2 seconds, I don't have to go to skiing lessons, and I can replicate that. After rolling, I was like, you know what? I had my moment. I'm just gonna walk down. So I walked down and carried my boards and had a nice scenic walk where I enjoyed the snowy imagery, and I was satisfied.
That's glorious. Well, thank you so much, Nathan, for joining us this time. Thank you so much, Cameron, again, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'll apologize for killing the lizard. I'm sorry.
I apologize for Grandma.
But I have to say that these lizards, they're a nuisance in Indonesia. They're more like cockroaches than anything else. They don't really hurt you, but they're, like, not pleasant to look at in your house. So,
Like me.
Yeah, like you. No, I'm kidding. But anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Thank you for the wonderful stories. And don't forget, if there's ever anything that we can do to make this better, hit us up in the comment section. And Nathan, remember to have a good day.
And I hope you do as well.